Please subscribe my channel, like, share and press the bell button. A guide to Cairo's craft heritage, following in the footsteps of ancient artisans. The craft workshops of Cairo tell a story going back to the glory days of medieval Islamic art. Aside to the capital, easy to overlook with the much-delayed Grand Egyptian Museum opening on the horizon. Fustat Traditional Craft Center is in one of Cairo's oldest districts. Photograph by Slavek Kozdras. For 500 years as the country's first Islamic capital, Fustat was a very vibrant city because of its Nile port, he says. The whole culture of Egypt was exported through here. Excavations have found kilns, glass and ceramics of exceptional quality. The Vatican has more Fatimid-era ceramics than Cairo. Local artisans work on their projects at the Traditional Arts Center. Photograph by Slavek Kozdras. The Craft Center receives few callers. This is Mar's first visit here despite decades of guiding, but Mamdo happily shows me around. Women chat while painting lozenges like teardrops on jugs. A man punches white clay into a mold, then peels out a tile of beautiful interlocking stars. Other molds have webs of hexagons or lotus flowers, all designs from historic Cairene mosques. Because of Islamic traditions that avoided representing living creatures, complex geometry was one art form that came without the risk of straying into idolatry. Gamal Ahmed Shosha straddles a potter's wheel. His mother was a potter, and his grandmother and her mother. I had no choice, he says, with a grin. Imported white clay is tougher, but soft red clay of Nile silt is better for pottery. Look, he says. He presses a metal strip into a spinning bowl. Ribbons of ochre clay spool to the floor. The crude bowl refines into beauty. The art of the pharaohs is as remote from modern Egypt as the works of ancient Britons are from us. In the absence of a living tradition, it's all too easy to give way to cheap knockoffs. We can't let that happen to Coptic and Islamic art, says Mamdo. That's why the center, backed by the UK's Prince's Foundation, hosts 20 students a year, mostly young women, who train in the old crafts. Into the souks. Ask Cairo locals about crafts and they'll point you to Khan el-Khalili souk in the old city. It's an experience as much as a retail opportunity. If the pyramids conceal their secrets, here all is on show. Shisha pipes and silver, telescopes and antique telephones, jewels and junk. You have the sense that, whatever your desire, it lies within these labyrinthine medieval alleys. I want to do more than buy, though. I want to meet the makers. On Al-Moaz Street, amid some of the greatest architecture in medieval Islam, Khalid Muhammad delicately hammers the goddess Isis onto a copper disc outside his shop, Al-Moaz Silver. Behind him hang plates, their kaleidoscopic engraving seeming to whirl as you look. The 51-year-old learned his trade aged 12 from his father, who learned from his father, who learned from a Cairene artisan, until you're back in a 14th century golden age under the Mamluk sultans. This doesn't require talent if you know the rules. I'm 1% the artist of my father, Khalid says. The secret is to love what you do. Money problems since the 2011 Egyptian revolution have closed his engraving school. Yet Khalid's main problem is us. 90% of tourists think my plates are made in a factory. They think I do this for show. You can see why. His work is pure precision. The best time to visit Khan el-Khalili souk is in the evening, when the streets fill up with local people. Photograph by Slavek Kozdras. Al-Moaz Silver is just the first stop on my crafts treasure hunt through Khan el-Khalili. At the top of narrow stairs in Jordi Passage, I find Ahmed Mahmoud soldering gems into a bracelet in a no-name workshop. Bracelets, frames, rings, silver amulets. He'll hand-produce whatever you want. I have hundreds of designs, he says with a wave at shelves of metal weights. He slams one onto paper and its embossed image appears on the sheet. A dove, a template to be hacksawed and polished up within 3 hours. Such is the skill of a 62-year-old who has worked since he was 9. I switch to the adjacent Al-Azhar quarter. It's quieter, more local. Among Arabic pop songs jingling from cafes and women with hillocks of flatbread, I stumble upon shoebox workrooms I'm sure I'll never find again. I meet Behan and Hesham gluing minute mother-of-pearl triangles onto wooden boxes. It's easy to dismiss such souvenir favorites until you learn their traditional history as boxes for dowries, or that mother-of-pearl inlay was an ancient Egyptian trick to prettify poor wood. Behind Al-Azhar Mosque, Muhammad Mimi Amin shows me 45 years worth of expertise casually lying around his workshop. Here a beautiful star lantern for Ramadan and a heart-shaped amulet with turquoise, to prevent jealousy. There, a lamp with kissing peacocks within a thicket of brass. That design came from an early Coptic chandelier. I'm not rich, but these designs are my capital. They're historic. They have proven their beauty, he says. Muhammad Mimi Amin helps keep the craft tradition alive in Al-Azhar district, fixing traditional lanterns. Photograph by Slavek Kozdras. There's a problem, though. Mimi says foreign visitors expect bargains in Egypt. Few stump up for skilled work, so shopkeepers prefer factory-made tat. That's bad news for Mimi, and for his young son, smiling shyly from a workbench. I recall how Behan said cheap boxes used plastic inlay instead of mother-of-pearl. Also, how Ahmed had advised his son to seek another profession after 5 years training. He moved into computers instead. Mimi glances around his workshop, at hand drills and hacksaws and offcuts of brass. We have no machine here yet, alhamdulillah, praise be to God. The Grand Egyptian Museum arrives freighted with huge aspirations. There's big talk about how it can make Egypt proud again. I'm sure it will. But I also wonder whether our fascination with the dead history of the pharaohs blinds us to a living one. Whether we shouldn't be just as fascinated by people like Mimi, quietly continuing the craft of centuries in the backstreets of Cairo.